The movie takes place in New York City in the year 2095, where genetically transformed humans coexist with aliens and other beings. However, this version of Earth is not the one that we know today. The world is controlled by a pharmaceutical company named Eugenics Corp, and it's under a military and a fascist totalitarian government. And in this dystopian world, Central Park has been suddenly encased in a frozen infiltration zone, and anyone who enters does not survive. And one day, an unusual pyramid appears inside the city, and Horus, an ancient Egyptian sun god with a falcon's head, is trapped within it. He's been accused of the crime of treason and is being punished by his fellow deities to end his immortality. Horus is granted 7 days to revisit the Earth, but he decides to leave his legacy behind. And to achieve his mission, Horus must acquire a human body and reproduce with a chosen woman within a week. And meanwhile, Eugenics is gathering special species in the city below for central research experiments, and amongst them is a woman named Jill. She has blue hair and a white face, and she's not really human, and despite her adult physical form, her skin, her muscles, her tissues look no more than a few months old. She also possesses some hidden abilities, such as latent telepathy and the ability to procreate with gods. But she is unaware of this fact, and a doctor named Elma Turner takes a special interest in Jill and she brings her to her clinic. And she enthusiastically hugs Jill and hopes to gain her support for the research study. And in exchange for Jill's favor, the doctor will help her in obtaining a new identity and settle in New York. And later, we see cars flying across the city and a news report in which a woman accuses the residents of harboring deadly alien beings. Hearing this news, the town's senator and his staff are concerned since they worked pretty hard to earn the people's confidence, and this is a major setback for them. And moreover, trouble for them escalates as they find out that 4 individuals have been killed in the city in a very weird way, but the killer has yet to be caught, leaving the public in fear. After her session with the doctor, Jill rides a flying taxi and she goes to meet a mysterious man. We can't really see his features since his entire face is covered by clothes, but he appears to be an alien or a supernatural being. And the man's name is revealed to be John, who is Jill's only friend and her mentor. And Jill is overjoyed to see him and she runs over to give him a hug. And she tells him that according to the doctor, she's only 3 months old and her organs are not really in the right place. However, John claims that nothing in this world is in its proper place, and to prove his point, he shows her the flowing pyramid in the center of the city. John then reveals that because he is not from Earth, his body is refusing to accept this world and he must depart soon. And when Jill tells him of the doctor's offer, John encourages her to accept it. And meanwhile, Horus is so demanding that he cannot find a suitable human host. And it turns out that he is the one who's responsible for the numerous killings in the city, and all of this is due to his incompatibility with the genetic altercations human beings have undergone, and the host bodies self-destruct while attempting to accommodate a god. If you catch my drift. He tries to copulate with them and they end up dying. And this has prompted the NYPD to investigate them as possible serial killings, and the investigation is led by a man named Inspector Fruby. And one day, Horus comes across a suspected ice prison that has fallen from the sky due to technical mistakes. And when the cops arrive to investigate the situation, they are attacked by Eugenics. The company takes 2 convicts from the frozen storage, but misses a guy named Nicopol who has broken his leg. The temperature begins to rise, and the ice thaws Nicopol, who's been hibernating for 30 years, and he awakens from his hibernation with his body intact and without any genetic change. And this is exactly what Horus wants. And so, Horus pursues Nicopol and he brings him to safety. Moments later, Officer Fruba arrives on the scene and discovers a piece of a broken leg, as well as the disappearance of his 3 officers. After that, he approaches the town senator and he tosses the broken leg to him, asking that he address this issue because Frobe believes that the corrupt senator is the culprit behind all of these crises. Later, Nicopol is identified by the senator's staff using DNA from his broken leg, and this causes the senator tremendous concern because Nicopol is aware of numerous secrets regarding the senator's family, including his shady dealings with eugenics, and it turns out that that's why Nicopol was arrested and imprisoned for 30 years in the first place. And meanwhile, Horus has led Nicopol into a barren metro station where he reveals his actual identity. Nicopol recognizes him right away and even recalls his legendary stories, and Horus then breaks a metal bar and constructs a substitute for his leg. Nicopol then attempts to take a few steps, but stumbles from time to time due to the heaviness of the metal leg, and as they chat, Horus reveals that Nicopol cannot move an inch without his magical power, and it is evident that he requires Horus's help, so he must allow Horus to stay within him. And later, Jill settles into a hotel as arranged by Dr. Elma, and she starts testing different foods and writing down her reactions to them. She also takes a blue tablet provided for her by John, which will help her in transforming into a real human. And on the other hand, the senator sends his forces after Nicopol to stop him from revealing his secret, and Nicopol is eventually tracked down by the police, but he escapes and jumps from a building with Horus inside his body, and then Horus spreads his wings and begins flying, leaving the cops very surprised because Nicopol can't really fly. And the senator is very desperate to kill Nicopol at any cost, so he seeks out some help from eugenics. So the company immediately sends their deadly invention, which is the most terrifying thing you've ever seen. It's like this humanoid beast known as Diarch. And later, Nicopol goes to a bar and Horus, who is within his body, tells him that a blue-haired girl would be entering the bar after a while. And Horus then discloses that this girl is critical to accomplishing his mission and that they must talk with her when she arrives. And meanwhile, Jill enters a secret room and wears an astronaut's outfit and then travels across space and meets with John. And according to him, while traveling across numerous galaxies, several beings were teleported to the wrong location due to some strange altercations in the cosmos. And apparently, Jill could have been one of them, and she ended up as an intruder on Earth. And 3 months prior, John has discovered her in Central Park's Incursion Center, which serves as the entrance to outer space. And he has prepared some blue tablets for Jill that will help her transform into a human being so she can settle down and live in Earth. John also reveals to Jill that he will complete his mission and leave her as soon as she can blend into a human life. Hearing this, Jill is saddened by the news that her only friend will be leaving soon, so she goes into the bar for a drink and there she meets Nicopol. And when he offers to buy her a drink, she refuses. However, Horus manipulates her mind with his magic and she becomes hypnotized. And meanwhile, one of the cops who were in the bar notices this and he captures a video of them. Nicopol then informs Jill that he will drop her off at her place, and the two of them leave the bar while being chased by police. But just then, Diarch appears and kills the police officer before stealing his memory card and delivering it to eugenics. Later, Jill and Nicopol get into the hotel, and then Horus, who's inside Nicopol, seduces her and they become very intimate. And since Horus thinks that she's the woman who can bear his child, he's pretty enthusiastic about everything. And when Jill wakes up the following morning, she discovers black feathers on her bed, and just then, the hotel manager and eugenics staff arrive to arrest Nicopol. But he's nowhere to be found, and the weird thing is, there's no bathroom in the place. In fact, there's a painting of a pyramid where the bathroom should have been. After they leave, the bathroom door suddenly appears where Nicopol is present, and Jill is no longer hypnotized and she gets very angry about last night, and she tells him to get out of there. And he tries to persuade her that it's not really his fault and that something is controlling his body and stuff. But Jill is not having any of this, as she pulls out a revolver and demands that Nicopol leaves immediately. With this, he stops breathing and temporarily freezes, and when Jill sees this, she gets very nervous and she walks out of the room. And after all of this, Jill goes to the lab to visit Dr. Elma, and she informs the doctor about Nicopol and their physical intimacy last night. And in response, Elma asks Jill if she's ever had intercourse with anyone else before him, but Jill claims that she's lost all recollection of her past life, and she then gives the doctor the blue tablets that John gave her, and Elma decides to test it in the lab. And on the other hand, Nicopol is enraged with Horus because he believes that they have now together raped a woman, but Horus cannot understand why Nicopol would become so upset about something so trivial. And Nicopol becomes even more agitated and says that he and Horus must part ways, but he soon realizes that he is unable to negotiate anything with Horus because he can't do anything without his power now. And later, Jill goes to an antique museum and experiences her first human sexual awakening. And as she observes the intimate scenes, she's suddenly taken away by Diarch. He then takes Jill to eugenics, where she is tied up to a bench and tormented. And people around her are concerned about Nicopol's location, since they believe the two are now in a relationship. And just then, Horus appears and beats the crap out of everyone before taking Jill to the hotel. And while Jill is still unconscious, Horus erases her recollection of what just happened, and he asks Nicopol to help him impregnate her. And moments later, Jill awakens with no memory of the incident and notices Nicopol in her room. And the two of them start talking and she appears to like him as well, and the two of them then spend a good time together while having a drink and listening to music. And after that, they once again get very intimate with each other. And the following day, Jill goes to a snowy Central Park to meet John, and she informs him that she met a man that she likes. And John encourages her to embrace her feelings because it's a very human thing to do. And when she tells John that she only loves him, John points out that she doesn't really love him, but rather trust and depends on him. And a while later, Jill returns to her room and she and Nicopol have a heartfelt conversation, and Nicopol apologizes to her, explaining that the entity inside him urges him to be very intimate with her, and it's like a force that he can't really control. And hearing this, Jill decides to forgive him. And meanwhile, Dr. Elma finds out that Jill is pregnant and arrives at the hotel to speak to her. Then we see Officer Frobe, who's there to capture Jill so that they can extract information about Nicopol from her. And he overhears Elma discussing Jill, and he asks the doctor to help him find her. And on the other hand, Diarch has arrived at Jill's room through the sewer line to kill Nicopol. As he prepares to attack them, John arrives and takes Jill and Nicopol in his car, and just as they were about to fly away, Diarch grabs the car from behind, but the car was too powerful for him and he ends up breaking his hand. The three then proceed to the inclusive zone because John must depart from there, and on the other hand, Dr. Elma along with Officer Fube arrive at Jill's room to find Diarch's broken hands. And now, John's car is being followed by both police and Diarch, but they somehow manage to get inside the inclusive zone safely. And in the meantime, the senator goes to the Pyramid of Horus, believing that since he has been experimenting on aliens for so many years, they may have come down to take revenge on him. And he decides to speak with the aliens, but the instant he touches the pyramid, he vanishes within, and then we see his dead body falling to the ground. And as John is about to leave, he hands Jill a red tablet this time, and he informs her that this will complete her adaptation to life on Earth, but it will also erase her memory. Then he bids his goodbye to the sad Jill, and he walks away. And moments later, Diarch appears to attack Nicopol, but Horus arrives just in time and kills the deadly creature, and then Horus thanks Nicopol for everything and reveals that his mission is now complete as Jill is pregnant. He then grants Nicopol the ability to function his leg without Horus and bids him a farewell. And he also thanks Jill, but she seems clueless because all of her memories have now vanished. However, Horus informs her that she carries something very valuable within her and that it belongs to him and requests that she takes good care of it. And Horus then flaps his wings for the last time and he returns to the pyramid to face his judgment. And later, Nicopol is caught by the police and returned to prison for another year to complete his sentence. And the scene then transitions to a year later where Nicopol is now a well-known author and he meets a fully human Jill in Paris with her blue-colored baby, who can supposedly transform into a bird. And Jill has no recollection of him, but the two strike up a conversation nevertheless. And as the movie ends, the camera pans up to the pyramid ship, where Horus is encased in a tomb, and a gleam of light flashes in his eyes. And that is how the movie comes to an end. I hope you guys enjoyed our recap. Remember to leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!